Welcome to my channel, Mama Llama, where I discuss pregnancy, childbirth, and all things motherhood. So if that's down your alley and you want to share the journey together, feel free to like and subscribe. So, as you can see by the title of my video, I have a 4-month-old and I just found out that I'm pregnant. I found out about 2 or 3 days ago. So it's all still pretty fresh. As you might imagine, it's kind of a wide range of emotions, but overall, I'm definitely very happy and very excited. So it's mostly positive emotions, but a little bit of craziness nonetheless. So I found out, I think about 3 days ago. I actually took a test before my missed period, just because I had this weird gut feeling. I just had this weird feeling, and I noticed a couple things that were similar to my very early pregnancy with my daughter. So I was like, oh, like this, I seem a little off. This seems a little strange. I'm going to test just to put my mind at ease. I probably won't see anything. It's still pretty early. It's still before my period, so I might not even see anything. And I took the test and, checked it 5 minutes later, like you're supposed to. And I saw a very, very, very faint line. And I was like, no freaking way. Like, what? Like, I have a 4-month-old and I'm pregnant. I was just like walking around upstairs where my bathroom is and just walking around, like, just facing like, oh my gosh. Like, oh my gosh. That's my daughter cooing in the background. I'll have to bring her over, show you how cute she is. Her cuteness is definitely the reason why I decided that having another one right now would not be the worst idea. So I blame her cuteness for sure. But so yeah, I was pacing around and I went downstairs and I went to my husband. I'm like, so I think I might be pregnant. I'm like, I don't know. There's a really, really super faint line, but any line at all is supposed to indicate pregnancy because there's only, the line only appears when you have the human, HCG hormone, I forget what it's called. So if you see any kind of line, even if it's very, very faint, it's supposed to indicate that you're pregnant. So this is a few days before my missed period, so still pretty faint. And then I was like, okay, well, I told my husband, we'll check tomorrow or 2 days from now, because if I really am pregnant, then the line will definitely get darker in a couple days. Well, the next morning, I was like, I can't wait 2 days. The next morning, I took a test again, and the line definitely was showing up even faster than before, and it was definitely much more noticeable, even just a day later. So I was like, I guess this means I'm pregnant. Yeah, so that was definitely, a lot of emotion there. Some of the things going on through my mind are, well, mostly excited, but I was supposed to go back to school for nursing this fall. So I'm kind of a little bummed that I won't be able to be going back. I mean, I technically could, but I would be giving birth like a week after the semester ends, and I'd be off on all the semesters, so I'm just gonna wait until next year to hopefully start. So a little bummed about that. And I'm a little nervous because with my daughter, I definitely had a few really rough weeks when I felt nauseous all the time. I didn't really throw up, but I felt nauseous all the time, and I was just so exhausted. I would come home from work and just pass out or take a 3-hour nap and still go to bed for the night. Just overwhelming fatigue and nauseous and feeling very, very blah until about 14 weeks or so. Her new thing is that she loves to grunt. she went from making cooing sounds and like ah to and she sounds grumpy all the time, but that's really her just practicing her voice. She's trying to put her feet in her mouth. yeah, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. I'm already getting pregnancy brain. But oh, yeah, I'm nervous because when I was so tired and I come home from work, I was able to just relax, take a nap, and rest as much as I wanted to. And then at very um, late in my pregnancy, I stopped working or just working 1 or 2 shifts a week. And I was able to rest and sleep in and do whatever I needed to do to take care of myself. But things are going to be a little different this time around. So all we can really do is just take one day at a time. For now, I feel great because I literally just found out I'm only about 4 weeks pregnant right now. So I didn't start feeling crappy until about 6 weeks pregnant with my daughter. So anyway, to get into the symptoms that made me want to test, um, it might be TMI for some people, but I'm just gonna lay it all out there. Um, so the month that I found out that I was pregnant with my daughter, I didn't really experience any classical pregnancy symptoms. So when I found out I was pregnant with her, I was like pretty shocked because, we were trying to conceive for a few months, and every month I was, if you've ever tried, conceiving, you're always like hyper aware of every single little thing going on in your body. Like, oh, I'm bloated today. Oh, my throat's a little sore. Oh, like I have a slight ache in my back. Like, could I be pregnant? Like every single thing seems like a symptom. So this month I didn't really. The month I found out I was pregnant with her, I didn't really experience anything out of the ordinary, except I did make some notes of how I was feeling um, leading up to before I found out I was pregnant, but they weren't that symptoms weren't that different from when a typical PMS week, except I noticed that the day after I was supposed to have ovulated, so I ovulated and then this is the day after. I noticed that my sex drive was still pretty high, which is very odd for me and most women because right after you finish ovulating, your estrogen levels usually plummet, and that brings a decrease in your sex drive. Um, but I noticed, I remember writing in my notes that the day after I was supposed to have ovulated with my daughter, I felt still, oh, I had sex drive. I still wanted sex. Where I usually typically towards the end of my cycle, like after ovulating, I'm like, like don't really, I'm not really feeling it as much. Um, so that's exactly how I felt this time around. Except I thought, like with my daughter, I thought, okay, maybe I was off on the ovulation day. Maybe I really ovulated a day after, later than I really thought. But this time around, I knew when I ovulated because I was starting to do those, the ovulating test strips, like the kind that you can buy and take every day for like 5 to 10 days to find out the exact time frame that you're ovulating. Originally, I bought them to track my cycle to prevent pregnancy, but I ended up getting pregnant, and um, so I didn't really need to use them for that. So I used those test strips, and I knew exactly when I ovulated. And the day after I ovulated, I felt that same way. I felt like an increased sex drive. Also, if you ever track cervical mucus, you know, after you ovulate, typically it dries up or it's stickier and it's smaller in the amount. But I noticed again the day after I was supposed to have ovulated, I still had pretty watery, and a pretty watery and a good amount of cervical mucus. So that was definitely different from how it typically is. So that in the back of my mind, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is exactly what happened last time. And this was only the day after, so I was like, but obviously it's way too soon to know. You have to wait at least a week for you to be able to detect your pregnancy. But that was the main symptom. That, and my boobs were a little sore, but it was kind of hard for me. I kind of minimized that, I think, because I'm breastfeeding still. She's 4 months old. I'm breastfeeding exclusively. So like sometimes my nipples get sore just from the way she's sucking. So I minimized that, but that was definitely something. So increased sex drive, watery and a good amount of cervical mucus. My somewhat sore breasts, but not a lot. But so far, besides that, I've had no other symptoms. I feel pretty good. I'm like excited, nervous, really happy all at the same time. I think it'll be really cool to have two of my kids very close together in age. They'll be good playmates with each other and hopefully get along, or they'll at least, have each other's company and grow together. So I'm really excited about that. If you have any questions for me about what it's like to get pregnant so soon after having your first baby, go ahead and leave me a comment below. Yeah, I'm going to be making some updates about how I'm doing. So I'll make a 6-week update to see how my symptoms are. So if you want to follow that, subscribe. Also be, sharing some other things during my pregnancy journey the second time around, and sharing what it's like to be pregnant while I have such a young baby. So if you're interested in sharing that journey with me, like and subscribe, and thank you for watching. All right. Thank you.